last night was tough. Yesterday was tough. Because I had to make a will. That's not easy at all. To think that you may not be here. But you want to make sure everybody's.
Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. We have an awesome show planned for you today. We're going to start with Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. He will have a press conference in about 2 hours from Boulder, Colorado, with his team of doctors. And the video we just played you was something that I believe Deion released yesterday from Well Off Media, and it's Deion talking about or insinuating, suggesting things about his health and where he's at health-wise. Deion has also, guys, I want to show this initially. Deion has tweeted out kind of a message that is also a bit, I think foreboding is the right word, or ominous, or just interesting, that kind of gives you clues where this press conference may be headed. So Deion tweeted out, let's learn to love like we may not get another opportunity to do so, provided we choose the right people to love. Love is so special. It's so unique and so real. God is love, and his love is unconditional. Let's stop judging, stop hating, and let love have its way. Coach Prime. This is Deion sending out very positive messages. This is Deion sending out very, and I want to be careful here. Obviously, I've been a critic of Deion Sanders, obviously. And some of what I'm going to say will be framed as criticism, but it's more just an evaluation of what we're looking at here as it relates to Deion Sanders and his future at the University of Colorado. He seems to be laying the groundwork, putting out a video, him at a hospital or at a doctor's office, him talking about writing a will, him talking about just leaning into love. This sounds like, and we'll find out here in a couple of hours, that Deion is laying the groundwork to retire today, or to at least walk away from Colorado this season. This is what it sounds like. Who knows what's going on, but this is somewhat unprecedented. Football coaches, people in positions, high profile positions, even athletes, they don't announce 24, 48 hours in advance, hey, I'm holding a press conference with my team of doctors. Generally speaking, if someone were going to step away unexpectedly, let's say Urban Meyer, I think when he walked away, what was his last job, at Florida, or was it, he's done it twice, where he's walked away for health reasons. No, his last job was in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But, you know, these announcements normally come from out of nowhere. There's normally not a team of doctors that will be a part of the press conference. There's normally not video released 24, 48 hours before. Here I am in the doctor's office. My health is in such terrible condition that, I've had to write a will, these type deals. He seems to be telegraphing his potential retirement or stepping away from the Colorado football program at this time. He seems to be telegraphing that. And he seems to be laying the foundation for everybody to receive this very warmly and uncritically. And I have to apologize. I don't know what's about to be announced. It could be very serious. Obviously, we know that Deion has had some health problems in the past. He came to Colorado after being at Jackson State and having gone through some blood clot issues. in his right leg, I believe, or foot. And so health issues have been a problem for Deion. This is not from out of nowhere. And I have great empathy, sympathy, genuine concern for Deion Sanders as it relates to health. But this is being unpacked in very dramatic fashion. It seems to be being unpacked in a way that guarantees the most emotional reaction or sympathetic reaction from football fans, from Colorado fans, from Deion's critics. He seems to be trying to put into place the ultimate defense or preemptive PR about him stepping away from football. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to play a doctor on this show. I don't want to come off as unsympathetic. We don't know what's going to be announced here in 2 hours, but the groundwork has been laid. And I told you all this, how many ever months ago? 3, 4, 5 months ago? I can't remember. When Deion Sanders retired Shadur's number at Colorado, I came on this show and said in real time, hey, Deion's doing this because he doesn't plan on being at Colorado very long. If Deion planned on being Colorado's football coach for the next 5 years, certainly the next 10 years, or even the next 3 years, I don't think you make an immediate move. Hey, I got to retire my son's jersey. And they also retired Travis Hunter's jersey or number or whatever, put both guys up in the ring of honor or whatever. I don't think you have to do that instantly if you're planning on sticking around. So Deion Sanders, I don't believe, I think this was in April. I don't think Deion has been planning on sticking around after Shadur left, after Shiloh left for very long. He's been telegraphing his exit with his actions and behaviors. So I'm trying to be delicate, respectful, courteous. I don't want to trigger the Deion sycophants and apologists. I really don't. But we do have to have an honest evaluation of what Deion Sanders may be setting up here in about, an hour and 52 minutes. I believe this press conference will be at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. I can't remember. Is it noon my time, Central time, 1 o'clock my time? They're on Mountain time. So whenever they're doing it, we're not that far away from getting a real answer, but I have to do my job and evaluate this on its surface. Deion has set the table for him to walk away in the most sympathetic fashion possible. Maybe I'll be shocked, and maybe he's calling a press conference to announce, hey, I'm going to take a week off, or I'm going to miss the first game of the season. But this seems like a lot of trouble to be having a press conference. And the other thing that's amazing to me here is nothing has leaked. I can't, nothing has leaked. I'm shocked by that. That's amazing. Things like this normally leak pretty quickly. But Deion keeps his circle tight. It's basically him and his boys or his kids and daughter. Colorado, I'm sure, if he's retiring, if he's stepping away, they got to be halfway embarrassed. They just went through a long contract negotiation this offseason with Deion, renegotiated his contract north, and renegotiated with someone that, let's take him at his word, having serious health issues that may impede or prevent him from functioning as the head coach. They just gave this guy a huge contract extension, and we don't know how this health situation with the lawyers, I mean, not the lawyer, the doctors at this press conference. This seems like we're doing too much. This seems like an offensive retirement or announcement. What I mean by offensive, not that you would be offended, but it just seems aggressive. It seems like, hey, there's an agenda we're trying to accomplish. It's not, if Deion were coming out there solo, surrounded by both of his sons, or they're in NFL training camps, surrounded by family, and said, hey, guys, I'm stepping away. I have to focus on my health. I think a lot of people would understand it. But when you announce it as Deion and his doctors, and when you preemptively start putting out videos, hey, I had to put a will together. It's tough thinking about not being, dying or thinking about death. You may not be around for long. When you do all these things, it paints a pretty, negative's not the right word, but it leads people to start speculating about what's really going on. You've got a massive contract extension you just signed, and now you're turning around 2, 3, 4 months later and announcing something with you and your doctors. Did you do the extension knowing that this was coming, and you're looking for a payout on the way out the door? I want to be respectful. I want to be careful. We're not that far from getting the answers to these questions, so I don't need to speculate much further. But I wanted to open the show there and kind of get this off my chest. A lot of people have, I've covered the entire 2 years at the University of Colorado. It's ending potentially prematurely, as I somewhat expected, and as many people expected. Deion has never coached without his sons being involved. Hopefully I'll be eating my words. Hopefully I will be eating my words and for even speculating about this, because the announcement will be something completely different. I won't mind eating my words. I hope that Deion coaches this season, and I hope that Deion is healthy and around for the next 20 years to see his sons play professional football and have kids, and Deion become a grandfather and all of that. That's my sincere hope for Deion Sanders. I'm going to put a pin in the conversation here. We're going to bring Steve Kim on. Obviously, Steve Kim has been talking about Deion and college football with me for the past 2 years as it relates to Deion. Steve has a genuine passion for college football and a deep knowledge. Maybe he can think of a scenario that I haven't been able to think of that's similar to this, but this seems fascinating, conspiratorial, interesting, but maybe not unpredictable. Maybe not. I don't know if anybody should be surprised that we've landed here at the end of July, just a week or two before college football teams, or this week college football teams start reporting. The last piece of this puzzle that I want to put into play here, and I'm sorry for doing this, but I just keeping it real. We talk about things on this show in ways that others don't. I just read something over the weekend of the top Big 12 teams and the amount of money they spent on NIL for this football season. And the Buffaloes weren't in the top 10. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's shocking to me that they weren't in the top 10 in NIL spend for this upcoming football season. Maybe I read the wrong information. Maybe the people that put out the information were mistaken, but I read it and I just kept looking and looking and looking for the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion. And when I saw that, I was like, that's not a good sign for Deion Sanders and the long-term health of that Colorado football program. It's not a good sign for if they're sincerely committed to keeping Deion and keeping him happy. Not only do you got to pay Deion the coach, but you got to pay at the top of your conference in terms of NIL and constructing a roster. And the Buffaloes weren't in the top 10, according to this list I saw. And that's another sign where I was like, Deion ain't long for this world, not this college football world. Not if they're not spending the kind of money that can make him super competitive. He'll look for an exit. And at that time, I was thinking, it looks like he'll do this season, and that will be it. Anyway, I'm going to put a pin. We'll bring Steve Kim on. Before we get to Steve Kim, I want to thank our friends at Relief Factor. You guys know that Relief Factor has been part of my journey as it relates to workout and exercise routine and just freedom of movement and freedom from pain and from nagging inflammation. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that fights inflammation. Inflammation is the source of most of the pain that you're feeling with, and it's a source of a lot of disease. Relief Factor has a 3-week quick start program that's just $19.95, less than $20, less than $1 a day. You can find out if Relief Factor is a solution for you in terms of that nagging pain and inflammation that's compromising your life. Most people that try the 3-week quick start, 70% of them return and re-up with Relief Factor because they're already experiencing the benefits. You've heard me talk about it. You've heard my friend Jeffrey Steele. Jeffrey Steele, 63 years old. He bikes 30 miles every morning at 63 because Relief Factor is providing him the inflammation relief that allows him to do that. Guys, you got $20 to spare. You got $20 to try to reduce the pain and inflammation that's compromising your life. You'll blow $20 today. It may drop out of your pocket and you won't think a second about it. Spend $20 and find out if you can relieve some of that pain and get your life back. 2 ways to do it, relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. When we come back, Steve Kim. Next. Like if racism or alleged racism or saying the N-word canceled people, virtually all of us would be canceled. And probably a higher percentage of black people would be canceled than white people. And that's not me saying white people are better than black people. That's me saying the reality is that black people are so comfortable with their anti-white racism that we say it, we use it, we go on national TV and say things that white people would never be allowed to say. And it's just the reality. We've built a society, a culture where black people can be incredibly racist without any consequences, whereas white people cannot be. And Hulk Hogan, a prime example of this. Be sure to visit and subscribe to Jason Whitlock Harmony on YouTube. I'm diving into politics and entertainment with a unique biblical perspective, distinct from Fearless, and hosting interviews with a range of guests. Share the word, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, 모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Reason that I'm back is to feed you raps I see that you are 배불러 So fly
All right, welcome back. Steve Kim joining us. Steve, I want to start with playing a clip from Deion Jr. It's about 2 minutes. It'll provide a bit more context about how the Sanders family is presenting this press conference and what they're setting up. Let's play the clip of Deion Jr.
What's up, man? It's Deion Sanders Jr. Big O second, Whitlock forever. Right now, I just posted some on my dad's page. That's a little bit of what he went through, a little sample. And tomorrow he's having his press conference, and that's when y'all gonna really see a lot of it after that press conference is over with. But he told me to document the whole thing. You know, at first while I was there with him, I'm like, bro, I just want to be there as your son. I don't really want to, I don't want to document, bro. I just want to be there for you. Now as time going on, and as the battle was fought and the battle was won, I see why. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I'm not only going through this for me. Easiest thing to say, it's like in John, I think it's John 9. In John 9 in the Bible, Jesus healed a blind man that was born blind. And they asked who sinned. Who sinned to make him this way? Like, why was he born this way? Which one of his parents sinned, or what did they do? And Jesus said, it's nothing his parents did. This happened so they could see my power in him. So God's power can be shown. So that's the way my dad was thinking the whole time, with having me record. What's up, man? Or having me record and document this stuff. Like, this is opportunity for God's power to be shown with all these trials and tribulations I'm going through. Like I said, it was a hard-fought battle, but it was a battle that was fought and won. So I just posted a little clip on his page. Tomorrow we're going to post after this press conference at 11 a.m. out here at Colorado time. We're going to post a little bit more on the YouTube, the Whitlock Media YouTube, so y'all can really see everything he went through. Y'all can really see that battle that he fought. So throughout these last few, it's actually happened in April. I'm not going to lie to you, before the draft. So that's when it started. But just be ready tomorrow. We're going to show you a lot of more stuff. I appreciate y'all, man. Big ol' second, what up, forever? We out here.
All right. So, I mean, the thing that's interesting there, Steve, is he's saying it's a battle they won.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a mixed message, which if it's a battle you won, perhaps Deion continues on his coaching, but why the press conference? Anyway, what are your thoughts? What can we expect?
Jason, first of all, good Monday. I want to go back about a week or so. I watched some of the Big 12 media days that took place, I believe, in Frisco, Texas at the Star, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought it was interesting when Deion was on the podium representing the University of Colorado, someone asked him about his health and the status. And I think he had an issue because the journalist asking the question was for The Athletic. So he right off the bat, he didn't like the person asking the question, but he acted like everything is fine. Everything is beautiful. Life is great. And the way I interpreted it was, I went through some issues. We all change in life. We all go through battles, but I'm here now. My view is this, Jason, and I don't know whether they planned this press conference today, a month out, or a day or two after that media day, but when a coach shows up for those events, like everyone's done throughout the country, that's a declaration that, hey, I'm here to coach now. We are now into football mode. So based on all of that, Jason, I maybe I'm naive. I expect him to be on the sideline for Colorado in a few weeks.
Okay. If that's the case, why the press conference? Is this just an attention grab?
From Deion? No way. From Well-Off Media? No. Well, yeah, look, we're in an era now where everything and anything is basically for public consumption. And look, if they're going to announce that we had an illness, this is what we went through, we don't want to answer any more questions about it. We want to end the speculation. I get that. But on the flip side, I don't want to be overly cynical here, Jason. If this is their announcement that, hey, we went through some stuff and now we're out. If you're the University of Colorado and this is a cold-blooded business, this is the world we live in, Jason, I'd be going over my contract saying, how much do we owe him? That's the harsh reality of this whole thing.
Steve, okay, let's say he just announces, hey, this is what I went through. This is a battle I won, and now it's on to the season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how will that be received? My gut reaction is like, I'm also, hey man, what are you doing? We didn't. You could have answered these at the Big 12 media days.
Yeah. And Jason, we've talked about how fast the news cycle moves. If you would have said, hey guys, there were a lot of things said and speculated about my health. I just want you to know I am okay and I am ready to be the leader of this football program as we move into the 2025 season. There would have been some other questions, some follow-ups, and then guess what the next questions would have been for the next 30 minutes? It would have been, how do you replace your son in Travis Hunter? And then we would have gone on, because you're right, Jason, by the end of the week, teams across the country are now reporting for fall camp, okay? And here's the other issue. You do want to clear this up in one sense, though, Jason. If there are rumors in a dark cloud of your head football coach, no matter who it is, having constant health issues or status is unknown, you're going to get negatively recruited constantly. That you're going to have to answer that every phone call you make. And I know Deion doesn't make home visits, but when a parent comes to Deion's house, first question they're going to ask is, well, Coach Sanders, are you leaving in 3 weeks? Why would we make it? So there are issues there. You brought up something really interesting that I think the part of this, the NIL. When Coach Sanders was at Jackson State, he was the absolute sledgehammer because he was Coach Prime. He could attract other players like a Travis Hunter based on some of the relationships in his profile. Now he moves over to a P4 conference, and I don't know if you know what's going on there, Jason, but some of these schools like Texas Tech, they are now paying a lot of money. And some of those schools in Texas seem to have oilmen or guys that have been in the industrial or the new industries in terms of technology that are basically saying we are going to compete with everybody across the board, especially the SEC, namely Texas Tech. And I think a lot of these schools are lining up because they're fighting for their survival. And Deion's looking around. Look at what he has said. We need a salary cap. This is pay for play. Now, wait a minute. Hold on. We got to rethink this whole NIL. Jason, he wasn't saying that at Jackson State.
The other thing, Steve, you made an interesting point as it relates to recruiting. He's on video by himself. Hey, I had to write a will. Hey, you got to think about dying. So he's on video saying that. Now there's this health scare. And so if I'm recruiting against Colorado, let's say Deion does coach this year. But if I'm recruiting against Colorado, I'm like, hey, right. Deion's only going to be there another year or two. Did you see the tape? He's written a will. He's thinking about dying. He's got these health issues. He's opened the door for people to negatively recruit against him based on his health. And that's why it just seems like this press conference today is about either instant retirement or this is my last year. That's the only thing that would clean up and give a clear path for, Colorado to go, hey, whoever their offense or defensive coordinator is the head coach in waiting. Yeah. And I'm going to do this year because, I can, and to put the new head coach in waiting in better position. But that's the only thing that I can think of that would justify this press conference. All the rest of it works negatively against Deion in Colorado.
Jason, I remember during the last years of either Bobby Bowden or Joe Paterno, there was always a whisper that, hey, this guy may not be here in 3 years. By the time you graduate, he can be on his rocking chair or worse. Think about that. And there used to be a time before NIL and the transfer portal. What was one of the big things that coaches used to say? Son, you're not making a 4 to 5 year decision. You're making a 40 to 50 year decision. And there's a lot of truth to that, at least in a certain era. Now, Jason, you can watch that video, and these opposing coaches, they are sharks in the water who smell blood. It is a dog-eat-dog world. They can play that video and say, yeah, I know you like all of that, but you think that guy's going to be here by February? By the time you move into your dorm, you think that's going to be your coach? I actually do think that footage opens the door. Now, with that being said, Jason, I've said this. College football lacks personalities. Like, I was very sad when Jim Harbaugh left. Deion Sanders gives you buzz. It makes every Colorado game a little bit more important than it has been the last 25 years. He gives them an identity. And quite frankly, Jason, it gives us something to talk about for months at a time. So selfishly, I want Deion to be okay, and I want him to be there for the next decade in Boulder.
last thing on this, and I want to move on to Aaron Rodgers and Terry Bradshaw, but you mentioned buzz and Deion. I think there was less buzz about Deion this past offseason than at any time since he's entered college football, and that includes Jackson State. I just know on this show, we didn't talk about Deion. There was no reason to talk about Deion. Bill Belichick, all the buzz has moved to Bill and Jordan Hudson. And, you know, what do they call Chapel Bill. Yeah, everything has moved to
with
Chapel
Air
Bill.
Jordan.
Yeah. Everything has moved to Chapel Bill. And again, that's where I have to go. Is this an attention play? A guy that loves to be in the center of attention. This puts him back in. I think all the buzz left with Travis Hunter and Shador.
That may be true, but Jason, aren't you a little bit curious to see what happens post Shador, post Travis Hunter? Can this guy actually sustain and build a program? And I think we have to be honest. I think a lot of people were disappointed that Colorado actually improved. That instead of being a bad team, they won 9 games. So it was like, they're winning. And then you kind of move away from it. Now, look.
Guilty as charged. Is that a direct shot at me?
Yes. You're the leader of it. You're the bus driver, okay? Look, it would have been a lot more fun for all of us, or you, if they would have gone 3-9 last year. Let's be honest. We would have had a lot of material. But look, week 1, I've already circled the calendar. I know exactly where I'm going to be. They play Georgia Tech, who I believe is going to be a pretty good, tough ACC team with Haynes King. I like that team. Trust me, I have a lot of respect for Georgia Tech based on the last couple of seasons. And I'm curious to know, has he actually built anything that is sustainable? No matter what I think of Coach Prime and some of his comments or his methods, I believe overall he's been very good for college football and certainly for Colorado.
All right, I'm going to stop the conversation there before it gets too positive. Although shout out to my boy Warren.
See what I mean? Right there.
Marshall Falk. Love that Deion's giving these guys an opportunity, and that's probably the other reason why I find it hard to believe that he would bounce after. You know, he's got Sapp on the staff, he's got Marshall Falk on the staff. We will see. Steve, I want to move on to Aaron Rodgers. I believe, we have the clip here of Aaron Rodgers responding to Terry Bradshaw, who had some pretty harsh criticism of Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's not shy about stating opinions about the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had something interesting to say about Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers has responded. Let's play the clip.
I'm always very amused, Aaron, by your observations of the media. Okay? Everybody's going to get a little squirrely now. Someone had a nuclear take on you. Terry Bradshaw, number 12 from the Steelers. Terry Bradshaw says, Rodgers to the Steelers. I wrote it down because I want to get it right. It's a joke. Stay in California, chew on bark, and whisper to the gods.
Well, I whisper to the gods every single day.
Damn right.
I've known Terry for a long time, being a part of Fox. Terry's a legend. He's an absolute legend. He won 4 Super Bowls. He's had a legendary career in the media. But Terry, like a lot of people, doesn't know me. And so he's got an idea of what he thinks about me based on what I've done, the documentary, what I've said, Darkness Retreat, whatever the hell you want to talk about. I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level. And I feel like if he gave me a chance to get to know him, then we'd have a good friendship, because for me, I have nothing but the utmost amount of respect and deference for what the greats have done, because they laid the foundation for us to be able to play in this great game, to be paid like kings, and to carry on the tradition of excellence that guys like the Bradshaws of the world in the 70s and Bart Starr in the 60s and Lombardi and Joe Montana and Steve Young and Troy Aikman and Brett Favre and all the greats that have been over, Tom Brady. You know, we're standing on the backs of those guys, and it's because of how they played and how they carried themselves that we're able to have this opportunity to to still play this great game, to get paid really well, to set ourselves up for our future. So I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level if he's open to it, and maybe we can go chew some bark or whatever the hell he's talking about together.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Brilliant response from Aaron Rodgers. You couldn't have handled that any better. Your thoughts?
I'm going to call him Jack the Ripper because he just killed him with kindness. I mean, he just dunked on him like Vince Carter. I love that response. And I don't know what Bradshaw's problem is sometimes. Last night, I'm flipping through ESPNU, through the channels, and they showed Elway to Marino, Jason, one of my favorite 30 for 30s about the 83 draft. And I'm watching about half of it, and there was that one part where Bradshaw said about Elway, just ripping him up and down for just being a West Coast guy, and he can go surfing for all I care, because that's not what the National Football League is about. Well, he turned out to be kind of wrong, and Elway laughed about it at the end. I don't understand those who really hate Rodgers. I get those who are annoyed by him and may not like him, but think about what has Rodgers really done to make people hate him. He doesn't want anyone else to make a medical decision for him. He's not saying no one should get vaxxed. He's just saying, I'm not going to get vaxxed. He went through the protocols that 1 year. Now, he wasn't exactly forthright with the media, but guess what, Jason? None of us should trust the mainstream media. I don't blame him. Look, there have been a few teammates that have been critical of him, but he does not have a reputation as this cancerous teammate. And early reports are, and I saw that whole interview with Brand. I thought it was excellent. And it actually gives me a lot of hope as a Steeler fan that this guy's all in. That particular interview, Jason, has me really thinking, you know what? This might actually work, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think it's an indication that there's self-awareness, there's some humility there, there's certainly some intelligence there. This is how you handle criticism, particularly from someone as accomplished as Terry Bradshaw. What I will say, strategy-wise, as it relates to Terry Bradshaw, he's been pretty critical of Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
And he takes a lot of heat for being critical of Mike Tomlin. And there's a lot of former Pittsburgh Steelers. Jack Lambert is no fan of Mike Tomlin. You follow his Twitter feed or X feed, and you can see him pretty out of the closet with his disdain for Mike Tomlin, thinking they need to move on. But the Steelers of that generation, particularly the Lamberts, the Terry Bradshaws, if you're going to be that hard on Mike Tomlin, probably not a bad strategy to be a tiny bit hard on Aaron Rodgers, a white guy that's playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It will reduce some of the backlash of when your real problem is with Mike Tomlin. And so I actually think it's smart strategy by Bradshaw. And I think that Aaron Rodgers probably is smart enough to figure out what Bradshaw's actually doing. I say, man, me and Terry Bradshaw ain't got no problem. That's no fight I want to have. I'm going to make Terry Bradshaw an ally. And I would expect Terry Bradshaw to respond pretty warmly to what Rodgers said here.
Jason, I thought it was interesting when I'm watching this interview from the Steelers training camp, and they're putting some graphics down below. And I think one of them said that there's been no Steeler quarterback in about 5 years that has more than 21 touchdown passes. Now, the standards we set is what we think of them. You look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers last year, and we think they're pedestrian. Jason, if you put that on any Steeler quarterback from about the prime of Ben Roethlisberger, I think every Steeler fan would say, we'll take that version right now. So, again, if Rodgers now is 2 years removed from that season-ending injury on his third play as a New York Jet, and I know he's old and maybe the legs never truly recover, but if he could be just a little bit better and a little steadier in the pocket than he was last year, if he gives you the same amount of production or maybe 5% more, that's the best Steeler quarterback playing about 7, 8, 9 years maybe?
Good point, Steve. I'm going to move to a topic that you and I both maybe don't have all the qualifications to respond to this, but we got some of the qualifications. Skip Bayless made an interesting comment about that God told him to prioritize his career over family. And Skip was being somewhat critical of Scotty Scheffler, who has really talked about the importance of his family and that how golf really doesn't matter to him. Anyway, let's listen to Skip Bayless describe his strategy for his life.
Scotty Scheffler, who works hard at never saying anything to the media, just suddenly absolutely unloaded in a press conference about how winning major championships just wasn't fulfilling to him anymore, just didn't mean anything to him anymore compared to being a great father and a great husband. What? A guy who has a chance to be Tiger Woods, maybe even be Michael Jordan, was questioning what it all means on the eve of a major championship that he'd never won? My initial reaction was, well, R.I.P. Scotty Scheffler as a major championship winner. You know me, I'm all about the GOATs being cold-blooded sports killers, being obsessed with winning to the potential detriment of everything else in their lives. Nothing made them happier than dominating. So it was that I was jolted and jarred by what Scotty Scheffler said on the eve of the British Open. No, Scotty, no. God gave you spectacular ability to play the world's hardest game, gave you the strongest competitive drive since Tiger, and you can't just shrug it off at age 29 and focus on, as you said, being a better father than a golfer, Scotty. No, God wants you to maximize the platform from which you can honor him and encourage fans to open their hearts to him, to God.
Steve, for me, that sounds completely insane, but I'll elaborate after you.
So I have a question. So if Scotty Scheffler was said, you know what? I got some plans. I want to be one of the greatest of all time. I'm going to bang a bunch of Waffle House waitresses like Tiger. I'm going to get to 20 Grand Slam. I'm going to get to 20 majors. That's what I'm doing. And you know what? All my side pieces, they're not flying first class. They're going Southwest, just the way Tiger did it. So I have a question. So would Skip then say that's the drive of a winner? That's a legend to be. Boy, Skip's an oddball, Jason. That's all I could really say. He's an odd guy.
He's a true oddball. He's a heretic. He's a bit of an idiot as it relates to here. And the reason why I know this is because I used to be the same or similar kind of idiot. I used to run around, Steve, in my 20s and 30s and tell anybody that would listen, the key to life is no responsibility. If you want to be happy, you want to have a fun life, have no responsibilities. Don't have to answer to anybody, wife, kids, whatever. And, it took me too long to figure out that was insanity. And I can't believe that Skip Bayless is in his 70s and hasn't figured that out. That, all this, hats off to you, Skip. You had great financial success and you were on First Take and Undisputed and all that. And I guess you got all the attention in the media, but that sounds like Arrested Development to me. That Skip Bayless is still, some high school dude that didn't get to be the star of his high school basketball team. And now he gets to be the star of, sports TV. And it's the most fulfilling thing that's ever happened in his life. But, I think, and again, I can't speak to this. You can't speak to this. But I know there's some dads out there. There's some married dads out there. It's like, holy cow. If this man knew the joy of a son or a daughter, a long, successful marriage, if he knew the joy of that, he wouldn't be saying this kind of insanity because, Skip's got $50 million in the bank, but he's got no kid to pass it on to. He hasn't mentored a kid of his own. Skip just sounds completely off the rails to me. But, some people never grow up. Some people never evolve. And Skip, I guess, is going to get to be 85 and still hoping to, he can reconnect with Stephen A. Smith and they can redo First Take all over again. You got a final thought or I can move on?
I think we're going to bring up Joy Taylor, so I think we could tie that on. Let's move on here.
Joy Taylor did an interview with Van Latham from the Ringer, and they had a lot of interesting things to say, including, let's start with her. Let's start with the jokes and the easy one. Her and Van talked about me for a little bit, about me and the big cans and peanut butter skin and just her critics. Let's start with SOT number 6, Joy and Van talking about yours truly.
What type of person are you looking to crash out on? People that were close to you that didn't support you, people that made fun of you, people that talked about your peanut butter skin. Like what? What?
You love that. Admit that you love that, Van.
Shit is funny, dog. I'm
Admit
sorry.
that you love that, Van.
Because you know why I loved it? Because that's the most sincere I've ever seen him.
You know what's funny is like I've never watched a second of. I know it exists because of you, because you're an asshole, and like other people. And I've seen the comments and stuff, but I've never watched a second of anything that he says. But I think it's so ironic that he would equate it to food. Like, don't you think that?
Love it. Love it. No, it's not. It's fitting. You're right.
Like on brand.
It's on brand.
If nothing else, he's going to be on brand.
But he was staring off. You could tell he had really thought about that.
Of course he had.
He was staring off.
He was
in the context of food.
What do I want for a snack?
He was like.
So I guess the only thing I can take from that is they enjoyed my big cans and peanut butter reference. I'll let you react to that, and then I'll follow your lead.
I give them credit for at least bringing it up. She's been on a lot of shows, and those two things are like the two elephants in the room that nobody wants to bring up. Like, the one thing about Joy Taylor, and I wanted to bring this up when we had our panel discussion last week. Joy Taylor is like that really good role player, like the 7th or 8th guy in the rotation in the NBA. They play a role, but the more they play, and what's that word about backups? You know why they're backups. You can't give them too many minutes or every single one of their weaknesses really shows up. And the more Joy Taylor talks, it's like, wow, she really has nothing of value or interesting or provocative to say. Like, she was really good, I thought, as the news update person for Colin Cowherd. I liked her. She was friendly. She had a nice face, everything like that. And you're like, okay, good. But once she starts veering off into like, hey, I'm getting all the minutes, I'm going to get all the shots, you're like, not really. Not really. But I do find it interesting when they talk about sincerity. When that particular show, all they do is whine. They really do, and they air out their own racial grievances, which is, I guess they're sincere about that. But I do find it interesting when people say Jason Whitlock is not sincere. Jason is someone that once in a while will disagree with you. I'll always give you this. I always find you to be sincere, even when I disagree with you.
Yeah, the inference of somehow that I lack sincerity most of the time, and that the only time I've been sincere is when talking about Joy Taylor's peanut butter skin and Big Rack. I went, what show are they watching? And then Joy's inference that, I've never watched his show. But Joy, let me give you the first step towards sincerity and authenticity. Unfollow me on Twitter or X. If you're going to make the statements, you've never seen my content, you don't know what I'm doing, you don't keep up with me. In order to sell that in an authentic manner, unfollow me on X, and then it becomes believable. You follow about 1,500 people. You're not one of these people that follows 10,000. Unfollow me on X, and then make the statement that, hey, I don't know what that person says or does. I have no idea. Is he still alive? Cut it out, Joy.
She follows you on X.
Yes.
Wow. Now, she may have just unfollowed you, all right, in about 10 minutes when she sees this.
Yes.
That's the biggest upset of the week. I had no clue. That's amazing. She follows you on X. Huh.
Of course she does. And look, I follow her as well.
Yeah.
I follow her as well. That's not I don't blame her for following me. I say the most interesting things about the sports media and about a lot of sports issues that she has to cover. And look, Joy is flattered that I talked about how attractive she was. And because again, there's a lot of people that think Joy is attractive, but then when they see the whole full spectrum of Joy, they're like, oh, it's not as attractive as advertised when you see that lower body and all that stuff. But anyway, Joy's got great skin, pretty face, big rack, and she's an idiot.
Jason, when you said Joy Taylor is flat turd, I was like, what? Oh, okay, flattered, not flat. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Let's go to there's some more that Joy had to say here. Let's go with Joy. She's a gangster with a vendetta. Let's play that clip.
I am a gangster. And I really wish people would stop forgetting that. I'm very serious. It's not always wise to talk. In fact, can do you much more in the long term to not talk. Let other people talk for you. Let other people make up their narratives. Let other people walk themselves out into the deep. Go ahead, baby, swim on out with that headline. Go ahead, babe, write that whole story. Because when you know what's coming, now you have to swim back and explain yourself. Now you have to talk about how this wasn't really you being biased. It was you were just doing your job. And to me, like the slow kill and the long play is way more satisfactory. I'm an extremely vengeful person. I think about it all the time. I have many grudges. They're like my plants. Just give them a little water every day, a little food. Hey, remember that? Remember when that happened? Don't forget it.
She holds grudges. She's vengeful. Nothing worse than a woman scorned. Joy checks all the stereotypes boxes. And let me translate that for you, Steve. She's sending out a message. Hey, look, everybody knows now because of this lawsuit that I'm not opposed to sleeping with married men. Everybody knows because of this lawsuit that I'm not opposed to handing out little sex treats if it can get me power, if it can move me up the ladder. Joy Taylor is basically trying to tell men out there that she slept with who are in this industry, keep your mouth shut because I will rat you out. That when we slept together, what I did for you, or when you flirted with me, or I got the text messages, or I got the just beep this out, or I know you can't beep it out, but if you got kids, just keep it. I got the dick pics you sent. That's what she's saying to men. Be careful what you say about me because I have receipts and I will use them. And again, this is the brilliance of Jimmy Whitlock. And Jimmy Whitlock was my father, who, as I told you all years and years ago, when I thought, man, you gotta be, you tapping Debbie. Debbie was our barmaid at my dad's bar, Masterpiece Lounge, beautiful woman. No, I'm not tapping that, Jay. No, once you sleep with them, they don't work for you, you work for them. It was extreme wisdom that I received from my father. That's why people just don't have that kind of dirt on me. But that's the warning Joy is sending out.
I want to make this clear. She's a gangster, not a gangsta. There's a difference. But hell hath no fury like Joy Taylor scorned. Wow. Yeah. Wow. But I just like, okay. So all-time Mount Rushmore of gangsters. Al Capone, Lucky Luciano, and Joy Taylor. I don't know who the fourth would be, but okay. We've all been warned, guys. She's part of the mafioso. Okay. We've all been warned, Whitlock. Thanks.
Yeah. So, guys, be careful. These concubines, these get-around girls, these empowered feminists, they will turn into your worst nightmare if you give them any leverage over you. I feel sorry for you guys that did. Steve, I want to play. This is the one that I think the clip that made the rounds through Awful Announcing and other places. This is SOT 7, Joy Taylor, talking about no longer enjoying the business.
You're constantly aggregated. You're constantly talked about. What do you want to build now?
Well, I gotta be honest with you. The f***ed up part about this year, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it back, is the experience this year has taken away my joy for the business.
Oh, shit.
So there was a time, there's always work involved, right? Like, even if you have a career you love, there's things you got to do that are annoying that you bitch about, or like, you know, a certain week you might be tired, not feeling it, whatever. But overall, like the saying, it doesn't feel like work, is when you're doing something that you actually enjoy. I think what happens to me this year took that away from me. I don't know if I'll get that back. I might, but and maybe like when the callus forms over the wound and, you know, you get away from things, it doesn't feel like the tremors go away. So we're not there yet, but right now it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel exciting. Like the big dreams seem like I'm going to do it, but I'm not as excited about it. And that's kind of shitty, because this has been a lot, like I said, a lot of work and a lot of passion, but it's been something that I think has come naturally to me because I enjoy it. And I enjoy talking to you guys, obviously. But the building, the work of it all it doesn't feel the same. Like the dream now is to just disappear.
The lack of sincerity and or transparency is what is just most striking. And the Van and the show, there's supposed to be this real place, whatever. Joy's been exposed as someone who slept her way into the industry and prolonged her career by sleeping with various married men, unmarried men, sleeping with any and everybody. And now that she's been exposed and she's dealing with the blowback of that exposure, she just wants to disappear, and it's no longer fun. She doesn't get to pretend like it was just hard work that got me here and I outworked everybody else. She can't go give speeches and talk about how hard she worked, because people will be sitting there like, Joy, you did it on your knees. And this is where I will give Joy grace. Is what she's really frustrated by is she's been exposed, but a lot of these other women haven't been exposed, and they've done the exact same thing. The exact same thing. She is not alone. She just got exposed through this lawsuit, and there's a lot of these women that love to play victim, love to play, this whole sexist world, and there's a lot of, they come through the door letting you know, I'm down to do whatever it takes for me to get into this industry. And to some degree, I don't blame them. They're not qualified to sit up and talk about men's sports with other men that actually played the game and or covered it in a real way. And the only equalizer they have are their breasts, is their sexuality. And they've been led to believe that being a man and being in a male space is the ultimate form of happiness and power. And so they do what's necessary to get in those positions. I'm not saying all the women do it, but to some degree, they all play the game. That there's a reason why there are more Joy Taylors and Elle Duncans, and even I got a lot of respect for these next names I'm going to say. A lot of respect for Samantha Ponder and Sage Steele. But there's a reason why all these women are attractive. It's not like a whole super attractive, because I don't want to be disrespectful to Holly Rowe. But it's not Holly Rowe and Ramona Shelbourne that are getting all these jobs and opportunities for the most part. It's the attractive women, and they're playing that sexuality game, and they know it.
So I have a question for No Joy Taylor. For someone that says I'm unbothered by what Jason Whitlock has said, wasn't that an admittance that it's gotten to her? Because let's be honest about this whole thing, Jason. I don't know if you want to take credit for it, but you were the epicenter of, I'd say, about 99% of it back around late January when this thing kicked off, this whole scandal. And for her to say, well, she also said, I don't know if we can play the clip, but I don't want to be holding a microphone at age 70. That seemed to be kind of a shot at Skip Bayless. But I have a question. So she walks away and my media life is over, or my days as a public figure have come to an end. Is she going to become a housewife all of a sudden? Is that the life that she's seeking? I mean, I think that there is something of an imbalance when it comes to media with men and women. And this is the reality. It might sound harsh. Men and women age gracefully. Men, when they get older, have gravitas. Women just kind of if they're really dependent on their looks, right? And looks can fade. And everyone changes. We all do. But when a woman is not able to keep up their appearance to a certain degree, like let's say age 25 to 35, and they hit that thing that's like Rocky Marciano and Floyd Mayweather, undefeated, the wall. Now you have to have a realization, okay, are you good enough on your own merits intellectually to host a show, to be a panelist, to give your opinion that people care about? If you're not, you're going to have a real issue, and reality hits very, very hard.
Steve, the last clip I want to play from Joy Taylor, I'm going to discuss on my own. She makes a biblical reference or whatever. So I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. Great job. As always, we'll see you tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow because I got a different show planned, but we may rope you into that conversation tomorrow. We will see. Thank you, Steve Kim. I want to play this last clip of Joy making a biblical reference. Play shot number 8.
To those people, don't get excited. I'm not doing it right now. I'll be bothering you for a few more years, especially the male lonelies. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like a lot of things. I think it's the political climate. I think it is being famous, whatever that means, has changed.
You're tired.
I'm exhausted. I'm very exhausted. There's no question about that. I'm exhausted. But I'm not exhausted from things I want to be exhausted from. Like there's a good exhaustion, right? Like I created man. It's so now I'm going to rest, right? Like I'm God. That kind of exhaustion.
How you know God was
tired?
No,
He's
not
tired?
tired, but how you know he felt good about it?
He doesn't actually regretted it. I believe that. I don't know what verse that is. One version of the Bible, probably not the Trump one, but it does say that he regrets making man.
He might have.
You know, I think at the end, I think she's referring to God flooding the earth and hitting the reset button. But more than anything, I'm just people that are hostile to Jesus Christ. Just shut up and don't talk about God. You don't believe in God. So just leave it alone. And I say that in all seriousness. And I say that because one, God is sovereign, he's all powerful, and doesn't enjoy being mocked, particularly by unbelievers. And so, Joy, if you come out of the Arrested Development, if you come out of the feeling like a victim, one moment, feeling like a gangster the next moment, feeling like, you've accomplished all these great things. You're one of one. You did that. You're the only one in this space comparable. If you ever humble yourself, you're going to regret in any way mocking God, trying to use his words, wisdom in some sort of way to promote your immoral lifestyle. And I say that having made the same mistake. I used to be really, really immoral and felt real good about my immorality. And could come up with ways to justify my immorality with the Bible. And it was one of the dumbest things I've ever done. Don't do that. And I'm giving you like good advice because I don't have some sort of mean-spirited take or view of Joy Taylor. She's caught up in the feminist movement like most women. She's caught up in a propaganda program that has overcome American society. She's just another victim of America's societal distance from God, distance from a biblical worldview. She's a woman trying to operate in a male space and getting clowned for it, and I feel sorry for her. But, leave God out of it. And in terms of, and I say this humbly, because I get you're doing the whole, hey, I really don't care what Jason Whitlock has to say. Yes, I follow him on Twitter, but I'm not even aware he exists. And Joy, you actually do care. And I don't blame you for caring because you see the way that I get critical of people and who wants to be the target of that. And I certainly don't want to target a woman, but I will if necessary. And so take my criticism of Deion Sanders. If Deion left God out of it, I'd pretty much leave Deion alone. But he's out here pretending like he's representing a biblical worldview, and he's not. And that tends to trigger me. Ryan Clark, from time to time, pretends like he's honoring God and following a biblical worldview. He's not. He's a racial idolater. Joy, you're a feminist. And feminism is the antithesis of a Christian worldview. And the thing, leave God out of it. And for the most part, I will leave you alone, will continue to wish you well, might even say a prayer for you or two. And this isn't me flirting for all you jokesters out there, but if you ever needed any advice, I'd give it to you. Now that you've stumbled and fallen and hitting your head, back when we were at Fox Sports, I would give you no advice because I feared you. You're a woman. You were leading with your breast and that peanut butter skin and that big rack and all that. And I was just like, that's too much for me to handle in terms of, and I'm just keeping it real. It would throw me off. But now, from a distance, if you ever needed some advice and you didn't want to turn to other secular Jesus-denying people like Van Lathan and others, if you ever wanted some advice, I'd be more than happy to give it to you. And I mean that sincerely. And I mean that, and clearly, obviously, I'm not flirting with you. But I mean that sincerely because someone, your brother, someone needs to give you some advice and try to help you move into a lane that's sustainable and satisfying, joyful, that leads you towards holiness. But, just playing with God and throwing that around, leave that alone, you're going to get my attention. So when we come back, I want to end the show where I love to end it with As the WNBA Turns. Before we get to that, though, I do want to remind you to go to fearlessmission.com, become a subscriber to Blaze TV. Listen, if you want to support me and everything we're doing here at the Blaze, there's nothing better you can do than go to fearlessmission.com, hit that subscribe, become a yearly subscriber, get everything I'm doing on Blaze TV, get everything we're doing over here at Blaze TV, and support your boy. You want to support the whole pay fans respect movement, become a Blaze TV subscriber. That's another great way to support what we're doing because I'm not done with the paying fans respect deal. Got all your ideas. We got the T-shirts in the works. We're going to have 2 sets of T-shirts, one that just says pay fans respect on the front, Another version will have Pay Fans Respect on the front, and on the back we'll have the 10 fan commandments on the back of the shirt. But best thing you guys can do because we'll be selling those shirts on fearlessmission.com. Go to fearlessmission.com and become a genuine supporter of everything we do. When we come back, I'll have As the WNBA Turns. Dax.
Crunchy all the pieces, the girls got daddy. She like to eat peanut butter factory, big cans, chip or even Peter Pan. You're lusting over big titties, she kidding me. You got your own size double D. You got big tatas, oh big tatas. Trapped in the pantry, eating big cans of peanut butter and ho 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 ho. I was raised in the gym, outside Planet Fitness, but not you.
Hey everyone, be sure to visit and subscribe to the BYOG Bring Your Own Guitar YouTube channel. Join Jeffrey Steele and me as we welcome musical guests for unique interviews and performances you won't want to miss.
But bring your own guitar.
As the WNBA Turns, starring Catilin Clark, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, and other angry feminists. Brought to you by George Soros, Adam Silver, Kathy Engelbert, and the Global Elite.
All right, welcome back. Time for a little As the WNBA Returns. Yesterday, the Indiana Fever knocked off the Chicago Sky by 15 points. Kelsey Mitchell scored 35 points and had a terrific game, really efficient, maybe 12 of 19 from the field, something like that. I think knocked down 7 3-pointers, was 6 assists. She was amazing yesterday. Kelsey Mitchell was. Obviously, no Catilin Clark again. She probably won't return until the middle of August, late August, somewhere in there. The Fever are now, I believe, 14-12, 2 games above 500. They're finding a way without Catilin Clark. And they're developing a style of play without Catilin Clark that I believe is going to require Catilin Clark to have to make an adjustment when she comes back rather than the team adjusting to Catilin Clark. And it's important that I say this. There's a specific group of content creators that I want to speak to, and I want to speak to with respect. As someone who's way deep down in the Catilin Clark rabbit hole and now way deep down in the WNBA and the Indiana Fever rabbit hole, I am a fan. It's... At this point, Indiana Fever might be my favorite team in all of sports, and I know I'm getting killed for that. People send me not text messages, but they reach out to me over Twitter with posts, constantly complaining about, man, we've lost Whitlock to the WNBA. And yes, you have. And you've lost me to all these content creators who I'm about to name, but I want to gently push some of you content creators in a more positive, healthy direction for Catilin Clark's sake. Because you guys as a group are having an impact. And so I'm talking about Mick Talks Hoop. I believe it's Ock Nation or AK Nation, Ock Nation, John the Liquidator, Robin Lundberg, Rachel Demita, Adrian Ross, Rosalina Lee. There's some like 60-year-old, 65-year-old white woman, looks like someone's grandmother. She's got a YouTube page filled with her talking about Caitlin Clark. And she looks like a mom or a grandmom that just took a break from watching the kids or babysitting the grandkids. And let me sit down here and tell you about Caitlin Clark. And what I want to say to you guys are that, and I've instructed John Hadley, and maybe you guys can help me out. And I'm talking about Mick Talks Hoop, Ock Nation, John the Liquidator, Robin Lundberg, Rachel Demita, Adrian Ross, Rosalina Lee. I've left off, I think, the dude from Black and White Sports. But all of you guys, some of you I'd like to invite on the show to discuss Caitlin Clark and the WNBA with me from time to time on as the WNBA returns. But I also want to encourage you all to let's don't be this force that just explains, rationalizes, capes up for any and everything Caitlin Clark does. Let's don't become a Caitlin Clark cult. Let's continue to love and support Caitlin Clark with the truth, with things that will help her evolve and elevate. Because, and I get it, I understand how YouTube works, that any headline or any content that is remotely critical of Caitlin Clark is punished. You'll lose subscribers. You'll lose views. And so you're baited into being very supportive of Caitlin Clark while being hypercritical of Stephanie White, the head coach, Kelsey Mitchell, the best scorer on the team. And yes, I said that. She's the best scorer on that Indiana Fever team. That's not a shot. She's not the best player. But Kelsey Mitchell is the best scorer on that Indiana Fever team, particularly the way that she is defended as opposed to Caitlin Clark. And they play two different positions. Kelsey Mitchell's playing the shooting guard. She is there just to score. Caitlin Clark has, when she comes back, has more responsibility. She plays point guard. She brings the ball up court. She distributes the ball to all the other players. She initiates the offense. So Kelsey Mitchell is the best scorer, and this could be a magical combination. This could be the WNBA's version of Steph and Clay. It could, to me, it's more Isaiah and Joe Dumars. This is championship caliber stuff between Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark. But I'm afraid there's so much noise being created by YouTube content creators that are constantly sending out the message that, oh, Stephanie White's an idiot. Kelsey Mitchell doesn't pass the ball. The black players on the team can't stand Caitlin Clark. You got to cut it out. And there's tiny kernels of truth in what you're saying. But the reality is we have seen enough over the last 2 years, because this streak that Kelsey Mitchell's on right now as a scorer, she's the leading scoring guard in the WNBA, averaging 20.2 points this year. She did this the entire second half of last year as well. There was a point during the second half of last year where I posted, stated, talked about on this show like, hey man, the second half of the season, Kelsey Mitchell's been every bit as valuable as Caitlin Clark. And that's a mouthful. Caitlin Clark is the best player on the Indiana Fever team and has a chance to be the best player in WNBA history. But she's got to play a proper role that allows them to win. And I saw something the other day from Ock Nation, or I think it was yesterday, AK Nation or Ock Nation. Well-intended guy. All of you guys are well-intended. I love you. I love your content. I want to engage with you on my show. I'm willing to come on your show. But everything that Caitlin Clark does isn't right. Caitlin Clark is struggling to play with other great players. And Kelsey Mitchell is a great player. Aaliyah Boston is a great player. Because of where Caitlin Clark played in college, Iowa, and not South Carolina or UConn or even Stanford, where she would be surrounded with other great players. She might be the best, but she's surrounded by other great players who can get a bucket. She's struggling to figure that out in the WNBA, that she doesn't have to dominate the ball, jack up three-pointers from 32 feet, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds into the shot clock. Caitlin Clark at 12, 13, 14 shots per game, while averaging 10, 11, 12 assists per game, moving without the basketball. Here's where Caitlin Clark and where the Indiana Fever, just quite frankly, this is an indisputable fact. They move the ball better when Caitlin Clark isn't on the court. Is Caitlin Clark the best distributor, passer in the league? Yes, she is. But she does it all herself. The ball has to be in her hands for her to create. They have more ball movement and player movement with her out of the lineup when they're doing it as a team. And her dynamic passing has now inspired Aaliyah Boston to be a great passer. Kelsey Mitch, all of these players, Lexi Hall, these women are into passing the ball. And so the ball's going to have to come out of Caitlin Clark's hands a little bit and trust her teammates and move without the ball herself. I saw somewhere, Nation, I think yesterday, was talking about Aaliyah Boston sets better screens for Kelsey Mitchell than he does for Caitlin Clark. And I'm like, oh my God, stop it. Stop it, man. Aaliyah Boston goes and sets a screen for Kelsey Mitchell with the express purpose of, I'm setting this screen to get Kelsey Mitchell a shot. When she goes to set a screen for Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin's the point guard and they have this dynamic chemistry, she's going to set a slip screen. She's going to set a weak screen and then roll to the basket, and Caitlin Clark is going to toss her the basketball. That's the difference. Aaliyah Boston isn't out there, well, I'll set better screens for Kelsey Mitchell than I do for Caitlin because I hate Caitlin Clark. That is not true. Not true at all. Caitlin Clark has to evolve a little bit. Right now, she came into the WNBA with a bit of an Allen Iverson. I'm going to get mine, and I'm going to, if I don't get the bucket, I'm going to get the assist. I'm going to make the game so much easier for everybody else by the gravity that I create on the court. Now they need a little less of that. Just a little less. She's got to tweak her game if this team is going to reach its full potential. And you guys as content creators are going to have to figure out ways to gently push Caitlin Clark a healthy direction without sacrificing your audience. I'll be the bad guy. You guys can be the good guys. I'll sacrifice audience. People get upset for me even just talking about the WNBA, but particularly if I say anything critical of Caitlin Clark, people get upset with me and they unfollow and they get all upset. I'll be the bad guy. I just need you guys to tweak the content that you're creating, be a bit more objective. The demonization of Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard and these other players, it doesn't do Caitlin Clark and the Fever any good. It just doesn't. And so I hope that this comes off the way it's intended. I respect all of you. Hope to engage with you guys on my show or on your show. Maybe I can send some audience your way. But respect all. I'm telling you, I watch all of you virtually every day because you go to YouTube and that people know what content you watch, and so your content gets fed to me. I like watching Caitlin Clark stuff. It's like, Luke, if I sent you right now to go look at my YouTube, you're going to see a lot of Caitlin Clark content. You're going to see a lot of Philip Anthony Mitchell content. You're going to see a lot of Tony Evans. You're going to see a lot of people discussing who the real Jews are. You're going to see some John MacArthur. That's what you're going to see. I'm just keeping it real. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you all. Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark can be a dynamic duo. Caitlin Clark can be Batman, but there's got to be more room for Robin. All right. Don't go anywhere because I'm not done. I hope I told Shamika that she's joining me on the Harmony channel. I want to talk about, did y'all see these videos from the Cincinnati Cool Jazz Festival where this white couple was beaten to the ground by a mob of black people? Really disturbing footage. We're going to talk about it on the Harmony channel, Shamika and I, because some people are trying to defend it. Some people trying to rationalize it. Well, the white guy, didn't you see he pushed someone first? And this is a conversation I'm going to start today on the Harmony channel, but I'm probably going to pick up on it again tomorrow on this show, because this black on white violence that's become too commonplace has to be addressed. So we'll start this conversation here in about 15 minutes at 11:45 Central Time on the Harmony channel. Shamika and I. So join us over there, youtube.com at Jason Whitlock Harmony. We'll see you over there. For now, we'll play Tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all this moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be. I just